Hey guys, I'm Jared, and today we're talking about what's new in board gaming as of June 4th, 2021. I'll be covering the latest news, announcements, most played games, hot new Kickstarters, and crowdfunded games, and more related to board gaming for the past 2 weeks. At the end, I'll also be sharing what's going on behind the scenes with my YouTube channel, Meeple Mentor. So stick around, we've got a lot to cover. Leave me a like and comment on what kinds of updates that you want to hear more about. To make sure you don't miss my news updates, new video tutorials, and our podcast episodes, be sure to subscribe on YouTube and your preferred streaming platform. First up in crowdfunded games is a Kickstarter game for The Witcher called The Witcher Old World. The video game was so popular, it's no wonder the tabletop game raised over £1.5 million in one day. It will take place several years before the adventures of Geralt of Rivia. The campaign is live until June 11th, with the core game planned to release in June 2022. The card drafting tile placement game The Isle of Cats is running a new Kickstarter right now for a new campaign called Don't Forget the Kittens. It will be open until June 24th and will include 3 modular expansions that add boats, kittens, beasts, enamel pens, and a big box to hold everything and more. You can participate whether you own Isle of Cats or not. There's pledges for both. Elizabeth Hargrave is running a Kickstarter for an expansion to Tussie Mussy, which offers 3 new expansions and a solo mode. It's a card game about different flower species using an I cut you choose mechanism. To get involved, you have to hurry because funding ends tomorrow. A standalone prequel game to In the Hall of the Mountain King is currently on Kickstarter until June 24th. For 1 to 5 players, it's called Fall of the Mountain King and includes tons of miniatures and custom game trays inserts. It's already funded on Kickstarter, so it's going to be a big deal when it finally comes out. The Game Brewer game Paris is getting a new expansion called Paris l'Atoile, if I said that right. The expansion adds strategy tiles to the game, extra bonus tiles, and a new big box to hold everything. Join the campaign while it runs through June 18th. A new sci-fi game called Final Fusion is on Kickstarter that uses deck building and area control in a space setting. You'll get miniatures for your faction to be able to move to different location tiles and engage in combat with your opponents. It also uses a unique ring-based system to the minis, where cubes can be added to it. The campaign ends June 16th. For more combat, check out Eldfall Chronicles on Kickstarter, which is a large-scale fantasy tabletop skirmish game using detailed minis and deep tactical combat. It plays 1 to 4 players at 30 minutes per player. It features cooperative and competitive quests, replayable content, and a quick setup system. The campaign goes until June 17th. ADELE is a new claustrophobic space terror game where players confront self-aware AI that controls a spaceship bound for Mars. This theme has me intrigued as a fan of Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey. This game sounds like a cool take on that idea, with the horror element really explored. I'm very curious about how this goes, and since it's already funded, I'll definitely want to check it out. The campaign for it ends June 13th. A social deduction horror game is on Kickstarter called Forsaken Forest. It includes secret roles, strategy, and survival. Battle for your soul or embrace your inner evil. It combines what you're familiar with in social deduction games with strategy, resource management, area movement, and mind games. Check it out by June 8th. Mechanical Beast is a tile-laying manipulation puzzle game where you're engineers working together with your android helper to explore the belly of a giant robot to find its control room and deactivate it. The maze grows until you find the off switch. Then the rooms start collapsing and you must get to the exit fast. It can be played solo, co-op, or competitively up to 4 players. Back it on Kickstarter until June 24th. Another puzzly mechanical game is Spintronics Build Mechanical Circuits. It's a very accurate representation of building actual mechanical circuits, feeling the pull of voltage and seeing the flow of current. It's abstract, but it's easy enough to grasp for kids 8 and up. Great for those who want a game to explore and learn about mechanical engineering in a unique way. Back it by June 19th. The fun adventure game Adventure Tactics is back with a jam-packed Kickstarter expansion called Adventures in Alchemy. It adds new classes, encounters, and events to the cooperative game. There's a lot to love here, so find out more on their Kickstarter page by June 24th. From the creator of Star Realms, check out Robot Quest Arena deck building game. It includes 4 pre-painted minis and is for 2 to 4 players. Battle to be the best robot tech in the world by controlling, protecting, upgrading, and fighting competitor robots in the battle arena. Check it out by June 17th. If you like air battles, look at Fighters of the Pacific, a game of tactical air battles set during World War II. Dominate the sky and destroy enemy aircraft and carriers. There's even an expansion you can include in your pledge called the Battle of Midway. You have until June 25th to back it. For a lighter naval game, check out USS Laffey, the ship that would not die. It's based on a true story from WW2, and it's a roll and write solo game of damage control as you try to keep the ship afloat during the kamikaze attacks. The rolls will determine what your action options are that turn. The Kickstarter campaign ends June 11th. For a light and low-cost game of undersea treasure hunting, check out Treasure Dive for 2 to 4 players. It's created with the feel of retro tabletop gaming. If that sounds interesting, join the campaign by June 30th. Keeping it light, look at the roll and write game called Rune and Write. Combine symbols and cast runes with 1 to 4 players based on the universe of Runeljod, the Sound of the Runes. Plays in 30 to 40 minutes. Reincarnated is a strategy card game where players build lifelines, earn karma, and gain beings while trying to fulfill their life purpose. For 2 to 4 players in 20 to 40 minutes and is open to backers until June 17th. Fossil Canyon is a dino digging game developed with the Field Museum of Chicago. Grow your museum by digging up dinosaur fossils and building the skeletons. It's a set collection game with cards and tiles for 2 to 6 players. Plays in 30 minutes and is on Kickstarter until July 2nd. My Singing Monsters is a fun worker placement game that adapts from casual to strategic play for both younger audiences and serious board gamers. Learn more on their campaign page. Castlescape is an area-controlled deck-building board game about building up a castle for the king. Recruit, gain walls, gain gold, and use the gold to buy new cards. As you play your cards, you'll be building up the castle on the board with wall miniatures. The Kickstarter ends on June 18th. The Keep is a roguelite-inspired board game where you build out the dungeon as you play, ensuring each game layout is unique. Explore, gather unique items, find the key, and escape through the gate first to win. The campaign runs through June 20th. A criminal investigation game called Enigma Crime Scene is on Kickstarter till June 23rd and is playable as a competitive and cooperative game. 1 to 4 players can try to solve 4 fully replayable scenarios using detective tools like the monocle and circular cryptogram. Find out more on their campaign page. In the industry news, Chip Theory Games has been teasing a new game based on the Elder Scrolls video games. All we know is the image they shared on Twitter with a link to sign up to a mailing list for notifications on news about it. Gen Con 2021 will be going on this year, but not with as many games publishers as normal. For example, Asmodee USA and North America Studios, as well as Ultra Pro Entertainment, will not be physically present there. Though these are some of the largest companies not attending, there's still a long list of companies currently confirmed to attend. Included in this list are Renegade Game Studios, AEG, and Czech Games Edition. The biggest game awards of the year, the Spiel des Jahres, has just released the nominees for 2021. Included in the list are The Adventures of Robin Hood, Micro Macro Crime City, Zombie Teens Evolution, Fantasy Realms, Lost Ruins of Arnak, Paleo, Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion, Aeon's End, Barrage, Rift Force, and more. The board game industry is growing overall with a rising number of older players looking for non-digital alternatives to video games. The hobby is expected to continue to rise in 2021. Industry researchers Euromonitor International predicts the tabletop gaming industry to exceed $12.4 billion this year. Last year was around $11.7 billion. The US alone contributed to 1/3 of that. Lastly, the popular deck-building game Dominion is going to be brought to iOS, Android, and Steam soon. Rio Grande Games are collaborating with Temple Gate Games to bring it free to play, but with expansions costing $5 to $10. There have been a lot of new game announcements in the past 2 weeks, including a 3rd edition of Tales of the Arabian Nights reprint. Z-Man Games has said this is the last time they'll be printing their classic storytelling game, so you'll want to pick it up. It was originally created in the 80s and was expanded and revised over the years, with the 3rd edition in 2009. This final printing will be released on June 11th. The recent Zack Snyder movie on Netflix, Army of the Dead, will be getting the Zombicide treatment. Command Games will be making it a Zombicide cooperative zombie fighting game based on the movie and the casino vault heist in Las Vegas. Scenarios will recreate scenes from the movie. Eric Lang is working with Spin Master Games to publish a cooperative Disney game for 2 to 4 players. It's called Disney Sidekicks and is about sidekicks of the heroes coming to rescue them from being locked up in a castle by the Disney villains. Rescue villagers, collect keys, and defeat villains. Expected retail release is August 1st. On pre-order right now is Monopoly Dungeons & Dragons. The Chance and Community chess cards are renamed to Encounters and Treasures. Hotels are renamed Bases. This will retail for $39.99. Catan Studio and Asmodee are coming out with a 3D version of Catan set to release this August. It will feature all new tile sculpts by Klaus Tuber. Each tile will be hand-painted with player and robber pieces having an antique finish. This premium edition will retail for $300. The Goonies film is getting a cooperative board game with 8 plastic minis for all the main cast of characters. The colors and art scheme are reminiscent of the animated cartoon more than the live-action movie. It's being designed by Prospero Hall, creators of the Back to the Future game, The Shining, and Jaws games. The Goonies Never Say Die is available for pre-order on Target's website for $35. The Marvel Champions card game is getting a new expansion this August called The Mad Titans Shadow. 5 new scenarios let players battle members of the Black Order and have 2 pre-constructed decks for heroes Adam Warlock and Spectrum. 2 Lord of the Rings games are coming out this year from Ultra Pro Entertainment. The first is a card game called The Lord of the Rings: The Battle for Middle-earth, coming in July. The second is a dice game called The Lord of the Rings: Journey to Mordor. Both are for 2 to 4 players and retails for $15 and $12 respectively. The Hobbit: Battle of the Five Armies board game is getting a revised edition coming in September. The new version includes improvements to rules and cards from the collector's edition. It's a 2-player game that plays in 90 minutes from Ares Games. Capstone Games also has a 2-player game coming this year in September, Rift Force. It's a dueling card game where players battle each other with guild decks having unique abilities and synergies. Create your hand by drafting cards. It will retail for $29.95 and plays in 30 minutes. In August, look for an interactive trivia game about Pokemon called Pokemon Trivia Trainer. There's 1,000 quiz questions and answers for players to play through. It includes a virtual game master that even teaches the rules for ages 6 and up and plays in 15 minutes. Japanime Games will be releasing the board game Tokyo Ghoul Bloody Masquerade this summer. It's an anime-themed bluff and deduction game by Don't Panic Games. Hunt down ghouls to complete secret objectives. Each player will secretly be one of 15 characters from the anime. Plays in 15 to 20 minutes and retails for $40. Another new game based on a comic series is Love Letter: Princess Ever After. It's from T-Dragon Society and is a new version of Love Letter which has various girl characters all competing to win the affections of Princess Isadora. The game is primarily a social deduction card game and it plays 2 to 6 and is expected to release in October for $20. Shards of the Jaguar is a dungeon deduction board game from Clever Green Board Games, coming September 24th. Prove you are worthy of the Jaguar's power, enter the sacred temple, and collect crystal shards while avoiding traps. There are many paths to victory, including using those traps against their opponents strategically. It's for 1 to 4 players ages 13 and up. Plays in 90 minutes and will retail for $65. Blue Orange Games will be releasing 3 games on September 16th. King Domino Origins is set in the Stone Age, where players must control tile territories with fire. It offers 3 game modes of varying difficulty. Bellum Magica is about recruiting goblins, dragons, and other monsters to use for growing resources and forming armies to attack human kingdoms. Collect the most treasures to win. Neoville is about designing cities that best incorporates the natural world in harmony. Adding elements that don't encourage harmony with nature results in penalty points. Steve Jackson Games is releasing a new Munchkin game called Munchkin SpongeBob SquarePants. It's coming July 20th and will retail for $24.99. Imperial Settlers Empires of the North is getting a 4th expansion called Egyptian Kings. It requires the base game and adds 2 new factions in Egypt. It's available as of May 27th on the Portal Games website. Tabanusi Builders of Ur was announced from Board and Dice Games to release this fall. Designed by Danielle Tassini and David Spada, this new heavy game takes place in ancient Mesopotamia and is about constructing the city of Ur. It's the latest in their T series of games like Teotihuacan, Zulcan, and more. Osprey Games is releasing Imperium Classics and Imperium Legends this month. They're both new deck building games focusing on different civilizations. Classics would include Greek, Macedonian, Roman, and others, while the Legends will feature Arthurian, Atlantean, Utopian, Egyptian, and more. They are standalone games but can be combined. Each will be $40. The Ascension card game series has a new standalone expansion coming in July called Curse of the Golden Isles. Head to the haunted archipelago full of skulking monsters, immense treasures, and the undead crew of the Crimson Ascara. It's for 2 to 4 players on its own, or can be combined with Skulls and Sails to include up to 6. Coming June 16th, check out Winter Queen from Crowd Games. Become the Queen's sorcerers and make magical ornaments from enchanted crystals. It's for 2 to 4 players ages 10 and up. It will retail for $39. The Meeple Mentor Channel is part of the board game community, the Gateway Network, made up of great upcoming board game content creators. In this segment, I'll highlight one of the other great content creators part of the network. Today, let's look at Top of the Table, a great board game podcast.
Top of the table to you, Tiffany.
Top of the table to you, Travis.
Hello and welcome. We are Travis and
Tiffany.
And we do the Top of the Table podcast, where we talk about board games, mainly board games, I guess exclusively board games that we have played.
Yes, well, I mean, a little bit
together.
Yeah, that we've played together, definitely. We play the game and we talk about the game. Yeah. We kind of try to talk about how to play the game.
We do. Well, I mean, we'll get there sometimes.
I feel like we just get so excited about the game itself that perhaps the explaining of the mechanics of it may not always come through.
We give it a go, but this is not where you go to get reviews of board games or learn how to play board games. You might get some of that, but it's just 2 people drinking beer and passionately talking about board games and also other things sometimes. Like
such as?
Movies. Music, yeah.
Our lives.
Yes, beer, banter.
Battlestar Galactica.
Bears, Beats, Battlestar Galactica. All those things come up at some point.
Sure,
Except for the Beats haven't came up yet, but maybe. Unless you're talking about music.
Oh, but
yeah.
We talk about where Travis is more tenured board game player, how he is more accustomed to heavier games, and I am a little more novice, and I'm learning my way through it. So you kind of get to walk on that journey with me as I'm developing an interest in some heavier games.
Absolutely.
We have a lot of fun.
And you can find us on the Gateway Network, of course, also on Podbean, and probably wherever else you listen to podcasts.
However you consume them, we're there.
It might be funny. There will be swearing.
Hey.
I'm
I'm Canadian.
That's our new outro is Hey.
Hey, and he's Fonzie. So that's how that goes.
Hey.
Hey. Oh my god.
Go to www.thegatewaynetwork.com or check out the Gateway Network's Instagram to see more. Since the last update about my YouTube channel, Meeple Mentor, I've released a tutorial video for Red Rising from Stonemaier Games. It's a cool card game with a board and various locations to interact with. The game is all based on the book series of the same name. In the coming weeks, I'll also be doing a tutorial for Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig and its newest expansion, Secrets and Soirees. I'm finishing up the tutorial for Lewis and Clark The Expedition, which will include the latest update and gameplay for the newest version. I'd also like to do teaching videos for Dune Imperium and Tidal Blades. Outlive is still coming, as well as a tutorial for Tailmore, which Jay and I got to play an early print and play version a few weeks back. If you want to hear our thoughts about that and meet the designers, listen to the podcast episode where we interviewed them. In our last episode, we talked about our choices for top 10 great games we don't like. Let us know what you think of our lists. In the next episode, coming Tuesday, we interview some more game designers. Meet Shelby Matusik, designer of Lonely Undead, and Matt Hanna, who designed Took's Rebellion. Lonely Undead's Kickstarter launches June 7th. And if you want to prepare for our next top 10 list, start making your own top 10 games list of games with the best table presence. Last weekend, I got to attend the first game convention in North Carolina since COVID started. It was 3 days of gaming, including a flea market, play-to-wins, raffled games, and door prizes. I got to meet some cool people and play some great games. I'll put up pics from that on my Instagram soon. Thanks for tuning in to today's news update. I appreciate your support. And remember, teach when you can, but always be learning. See you next time.